Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Inner Peace Workshop. I'm Todd Scholl, and this is episode 4, Mindfulness Practice 2, Focus on the Body. I hope that you've had time this week to continue establishing a habit of practicing mindfulness for at least 10 minutes a day. Back in episode 2, we learned how to focus on our breath and to do that for at least 10 minutes per day. Just establishing that habit is such a critical part of this workshop and making sure that you get the most out of it. Today we're going to be talking about focusing on the body. So it's a different type of mindfulness practice. We're still going to use the breath, but we're going to actually be scanning the body for signs of tension. And then we're going to talk about the importance of taking care of our bodies because of the fact that they're so intricately connected to the health of our minds. So welcome to episode 4 of the Inner Peace Workshop. So let's begin. The first thing I'd like you to do is to sit comfortably and just kind of settle down, get comfortable, make sure you're sitting very comfortably and that you feel like the situation, the environment you're in is going to be somewhat peaceful for at least 10 to 15 minutes. And what I'd like you to do is start off by just taking a few deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth if you can. Sometimes if you don't have a full 10 minutes to practice mindfulness, it's okay to just take 4 or 5 really deep mindful breaths, and that just helps to relieve some tension. And if you do that a few times each day, you'll notice that that's incredibly helpful in terms of keeping your stress levels lower and keeping yourself in that mindful state. What I'd like you to do now is to check into your body. Is there pain anywhere? Do you feel pain anywhere? Where is that pain located? And have you noticed that pain throughout the day, or are you just kind of noticing it now? Is the pain light, moderate, severe? Specifically try to pinpoint where that pain is. If there's multiple pains, say you have a little bit of a sore knee and maybe you have your neck is a little sore, just kind of focus on one at a time and really experience it, take it in, that pain. Think about it. And then what I'd like you to do is to scan your body from head to toe and see if there's any signs of tension. Are you holding your hands tight? Are you holding your shoulders tight? Are you holding your knees or your feet or your toes tight? And if so, find out where that tension is and just let it go and try to settle down a little bit. And just continue to take a few deep breaths. You don't have to force it. It doesn't have to be, some super deep breath, but just a slower, deeper, intentional breath than your normal shallow breathing. And now I'd like you to think about how the temperature of the room feels. Is it warm? Is it cool? Is it just right? Are there parts of your body that feel warm and parts that feel cool? Sometimes people's hands feel cold, but their bodies feel warm, their torso. How about your feet, your face, your ears? How does the temperature of the room feel? And now I want you to think about how it feels to be sitting. You've made contact with a seat or a cushion or the floor. How are your feet? Are your feet touching the ground? Are they cross-legged? Are you kneeling? Are they just flat on the floor? How does it feel to have gravity pull you down, and wherever you're making contact with a chair or the ground or a cushion or whatever, how does it feel? How does that pressure feel? And now I want you to consider any other sensations that you notice. Do you feel pressure anywhere? Do you feel any kind of aches, or do you feel good? Do you feel tingling anywhere? Do you feel relaxed? What types of sensations do you notice as you're sitting there? And now we're going to slowly examine our bodies from head to toe. And as we progress through these different parts of our bodies, see if you detect any tension, and then see if you can release it. And so hopefully by the time we get from our heads to our toes, any area where you have tension, you're going to be able to sort of release it and relax it a little bit. So let's start off with the top of our head, and just think about the top of your head and what that feels like, and bring your focus and your attention to the top of your head, and now coming down to your forehead. And feel free, if you'd like to even move these body parts a little bit, you can do that. Just notice and focus on your forehead and around to the back of your head, and now to your ears, your cheeks and your nose. And continue to breathe. These don't have to be super deep breaths, but nice, slow, steady breaths. See if there's any tension in your face and around your mouth, your cheeks, your chin. And try to just relax, maybe around your jaw. Sometimes our jaws get really, really tense throughout the day, and the jaw can be a huge, huge source of tension. So try to relax that jaw. And continue to breathe. And now we're going to move on down to the neck, and consider the front, the sides, and the back of the neck. Sometimes I have tension in my neck, especially if I've been working at a computer. See if there's any tension in your neck, and you can feel free to even just kind of move your head around a little bit, and just kind of maybe roll your shoulders even a little bit, move your head left to right. Just slowly and carefully, no major moves. We're not really exercising here. We're just kind of noticing how the neck feels, seeing if we can release any tension that we notice in your neck. And continuing just to breathe deeply. And we're going to move on to the shoulders. And what a huge source of tension this is. And what's interesting is I notice when I do have tension in my shoulders and my neck, I'm much more likely to have a headache. And of course, having a headache is no fun. So let's see if we can sense any tension in our shoulders and our upper back. See if we can just sort of let our shoulders drop and just sort of let everything kind of get loose and relaxed. And then we'll move down into our upper arm, the upper parts of our arm. And as we do this again, see if you can really focus on that part of the body. Just keep your mind completely focused on the parts of the body where we are as we scan through the entire body. So just have your entire focus on your arms right now, your upper arms. And let's go down to our elbows and to our forearms. Continuing to breathe, and to our wrists and our hands. And just really focus on your hands for a second, and just maybe wiggle your fingers a little bit, move your hand around. See if you notice if you're holding your fingers tensely at all, and release and relax. Continuing to breathe. Now let's go back to our torso, to our chest and our upper back. And let's breathe. And as we breathe, I want you to breathe now deeply so that the breath really expands that chest where we're focusing now. And feel your chest as it expands. As you breathe in, it's going to expand, and then as you breathe out, it's going to contract. And then you breathe in and it just fills up, and your entire chest just, grows and expands, and then we breathe out and it starts to shrink. So our entire focus is on our chest right now and our upper back. Breathing deeply. And now what I'd like you to do is put your hand over right about where your belly button is, maybe a little bit lower. We're going to focus on our bellies and our lower backs right now. And I want you to continue to breathe, and I want you to feel and see if your hand moves as you breathe. And if not, I want you to try to manipulate your breathing a little bit and relax your abdomen enough so that your breathing expands your belly and not just your chest. So that you feel your belly going forward and backwards. It goes forward, you feel your hand on your belly going forward as you breathe in, and then contracting and coming in towards you as you breathe out. And just relax your belly. If we've got a little extra weight on us, sometimes we don't like letting our bellies loose because that makes it seem like it's bigger, but we all have permission to do that right now. I want you to just relax your belly and let your belly be completely lacking any tension. And then how about your lower back? Is there any tension there? Continue to breathe and focus on that lower back and the belly, keeping your hand over your lower abdomen. And now we're going to go into the upper parts of our legs, into our thighs. And see if we have any tension there that we can sort of let go. Maybe wiggle around a little bit in your seat with your thighs and your thigh muscles. Just keep your attention and your focus on your upper leg. Continuing to just breathe deeply and then just enjoying this time to be disconnected. And now down to your knees. And your knees, see if there's any tension there. Are we holding our knees a certain way that's putting an undue tension on the knee, on the front or back of the knee? Many times, if you'll notice the way you're sitting, you're putting a lot of pressure and stress on the knee that doesn't need to be there. So if you notice that and you're mindful of that throughout the day, if you're sitting and you notice you're in a position that's putting strain on your knee, just try to reposition your feet so that there's not as much tension and stress being placed on your knee. And let's move down into our calves and the front of our legs as well. And then to our ankles. On our heels and the bottom of our feet, the top of our feet. Breathing. Feels good to take some deep breaths. And just stay focused on that body part. Now we're going to go to our toes. And what I'd like you to do is just take your toes, all of your toes on both feet, and just kind of wiggle them. And then contract them, and then let them go. Contract them, let them go. Just wiggle your feet, your toes, and your feet too if you like. Wiggle your feet around. And let's just do one more quick scan of the entire body and see if you notice any tension anywhere. If you have tensed up again anywhere, try to let that go and just continue to breathe. And now we're going to do something a little bit different. I'd like you to take your attention back to your hands and just notice your hands, how they feel. Do you feel warmth in your hands? You feel free to just move your fingers or clench into fists and let go. Clench into a ball up into a fist with your fingers really tight and then just let go. And notice how it feels. Notice how it feels to be tense and have your fists really tense, and then what it feels like to just slowly let go. Do you sense any kind of energy or tingling in your hands? What do you notice about your hands and your fingers? How does it feel? And so this is what we do in terms of focusing on the body. And this is an alternative to our focus on the breath. So we continue to use the breathing as part of the exercise. But rather than just staying focused on the breath, what we do is we go through every single part of our body, looking for any signs of tension. And rather than focusing on the breath, we're focusing on those individual parts and how they feel. And you can notice anything about them. If there's pain there, if there's tension there, the temperature, any sensation that you notice about that particular part of the body, that's what I'd like you to focus on. And that's okay, because that is in the present moment. And so again, you're training your mind to be on the present moment, and you're allowing it to be in the present moment. If you notice that you start thinking about other things, just bring your attention back to that particular body part. Whether it's your shoulders, your knees, or whatever, just bring your attention back to that body part and stay focused on that body part and how it feels. And just go through your body one piece at a time. It's not something you need to do rapidly, but there's nothing wrong with it. If you only have a couple of minutes to do this, then go through it in a couple of minutes. But if you can, try to establish it for at least 10 to 15 minutes of scanning through the body for any signs of tension. And feel free to move a little bit with this. There's nothing wrong with moving. You don't have to stay still like a statue throughout this thing. You can move. So that's our second type of mindfulness practice. And so now you have two to work with. You can do the focus on the breath, or you can do the focus on the body. Now, I'd like to talk to you about some other things related to the body that I think are important. And it's important to understand that there's a huge connection between our body and our minds. If our bodies are way out of shape and aren't healthy, it's going to be difficult to have our minds fully healthy as well, and vice versa. So if our minds aren't healthy, often our bodies aren't going to be healthy as well. And so there is this huge connection between the mind and the body. And before I get into talking about this further, I'd like to preface these remarks by saying that I think before you start any exercise plan or any changes in your diet or anything like that, or supplements or anything like that that you're considering changing, that you consult your physician and you talk with a doctor about these changes. This workshop is going out to many people, and each individual has unique needs in terms of how they can exercise and what's going to be healthy for them based on your age and your physical condition and where you're starting from and any other physical issues that you may have. So please, again, consult a physician if you feel that's you need to before you start anything like an exercise program or a change in diet. But I do want to talk about exercise and the importance for teachers to establish some type of physical exercise. If your physician approves that, exercise can be such a huge way of releasing stress. It releases endorphins, and it really can elevate your mood. We know that just going on a walk every day, on a 20 or 30 minute walk every day, can really elevate people's moods and help with depression and anxiety. So I strongly encourage you to try to establish some type of exercise program. If you enjoy Zumba, do Zumba, or dance, or just walking or running or weightlifting or whatever it is you enjoy. Yoga is really great. I enjoy yoga because it really helps me with flexibility. But I think it is really important that you, if you're not exercising right now, that you consider the impact that's having on your body, and then the impact that your body is then having on your mind and your ability to handle stress. So consider, if you're not already exercising, just consider adding that to what you're doing, and again, consulting a physician about that before you begin. The other thing I want to talk about is your diet. Because your body obviously is, they say you are what you eat, so your body is going to respond to what you eat. If you're eating fast food, cheeseburgers and French fries and sodas and junk food all the time, and pizza and things like that, and let's be honest, at school it's very difficult to find, at least in my experience, it's difficult to find a lot that's super nutritious for you at school. Fried chicken and rice and gravy, or French fries with ranch dressing isn't really going to cut it in terms of establishing a healthy diet. And of course, when again, each individual's nutritional needs are different, but making choices that we know are going to be positive and healthy for us. So, if we can choose, a leaner, if you eat meat, a leaner cut of meat rather than a fatty cut of meat. If you can, eat fat-free dressing on your salad rather than the dressing that has tons of fat. And maybe laying off the mayonnaise. Maybe, cutting down on the number of sweets that you eat. Maybe replacing that sweet tea or that sugary soda with some water or some other type of healthy drink for you. Making small little changes to your diet and choosing to be healthy is going to be huge for you. And this is about choosing wellness for ourselves. And so we're thinking about this as a multi-pronged approach to reducing stress and making ourselves well and happy and healthy. And so we have this mindfulness practice, but let's also consider taking care of our bodies through choosing healthy things to eat and engaging in some exercise. And then another essential is sleep. And often teachers do not get enough sleep. We're up at 5:36 in the morning, and if you're up late grading papers and you're trying to interact with your spouse and your children, and you have things going on in the evening, sometimes it's hard to unwind much before 10, 11 o'clock, and by the time you get to sleep, especially if you have a lot on your mind, a lot of times teachers are only getting 5 or 6 hours of sleep, and when you do that over and over again, night after night after night, you're going to be chronically undersleeping. And that's going to have a profound effect on your overall health and your mental state. You're not going to be as sharp or in as good a mood if you've only had 4 or 5 hours of sleep, as opposed to a full night, 7, 8, 9 hours of sleep. And I know that's not possible. Every night, I don't get 8, 9 hours of sleep every night. Sometimes I only get 5. But I try to establish a pattern of at least getting 7 or 8 hours of sleep on average each night, because getting your sleep is important. It's really important in terms of for your body and for your mind. And ultimately, this is about reducing stress and feeling well. So, I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. There is a handout below the video, handout number 4. It is a PDF. You can download it or you can print it out. And it includes reflection questions, a journal entry, and some homework. And your homework for this week is going to be to practice this mindful body scan for at least 10 minutes a day. And if you have time, you can do the mindful breathing technique for 10 minutes as well. I want you to start to examine your level of physical activity and your diet and your sleep. How much sleep are you getting? I want you to consider that the impact that exercise and healthy diet and that positive sleep can have on your stress levels. I want you to consult with a physician if you have any questions about exercise and diet. And I want you to try to set some goals for yourself to improve your physical health according to what the doctor tells you. As always, you can visit me on the web at theinnerpeace.weebly.com. That's theinnerpiece.weebly.com. I encourage you to go to that website. There are a ton of great resources, including articles, videos, links to organizations who are experts in the field of mindfulness and education. And there's lots of great conferences that you can register for. So really good resource there, theinnerpeace.weebly.com. And if you have any questions or comments about what we've discussed so far in this workshop, please email me, toddscholl@gmail.com. You can also find me on Facebook at Todd Andrew Scholl or on Twitter at Todd Scholl. Well, thanks for checking out episode 4 of the Inner Peace Workshop. I hope that you'll take the time to download and print the handout for this episode, which is below the video on the website. It is a PDF, simple. You can open it and just read through it or print it out for reference if you'd like. It has reflection questions, a journal entry, and some homework. And your homework for this week is to take the practice that we did today and that mindful body scan and try to establish doing that for at least 10 minutes per day. If you have the time and you can do another 10 minutes of mindful breathing, which we learned about in episode 2, that would be great. So that would be a total of 20 minutes of mindfulness training each day. But if you only have 10 minutes, try to do the mindful body scan and just give that a try for this week. The other thing I'd like you to do is to try to consider what it is you're doing in terms of your physical health. Do you exercise? Are you getting regular physical activity? What are you eating? Really take note of what it is you eat and drink throughout the week. And how much sleep are you getting? Are you getting enough sleep? And then consider establishing some goals for yourself in terms of those things, in terms of your physical activity level, in terms of your diet and your sleep. And of course, again, I just would urge you, if you're going to make any significant changes to those things, that you consult with a doctor. That's very important. I just want to make that really clear, because I wouldn't want somebody all of a sudden to start doing P90X and have some major issues. So consult with a doctor and consider what's appropriate for you, your age level, and where you're starting from. But I hope that you will establish some goals for yourself and understand how critical it is for teachers to take care of their bodies. And you're doing that as an investment into being a better teacher and to being healthy and well for your students and for your colleagues, for your school and your community. Next week, we're going to be talking about mindfulness and duty. And I hope that you'll join me and continue this journey on the Inner Peace Workshop.